The story for Final Fantasy XV takes place on the world of Eos during a conflict between the magical kingdom of Lucius and the mechanical empire of Niflheim. As the kingdom of Lucius is nearing its defeat, a deal is made between Lucius and Niflheim, and Prince Noctis of Lucius is sent away with his three friends, Prompto, Ignis, and Gladios, to marry Lunafreya. However, during their travels, the army of Niflheim initiates a surprise attack on Lucius, which successfully manages to kill Noctis' father, King Regis, and capture the magical crystal that protects the kingdom of Lucius. With his father dead and his kingdom now under Niflheim control, Noctis must take the role of king, and with the help of his friends must travel around the land to retrieve the rightful power of the king and save the world from an ancient evil that intends on plunging the world into eternal darkness. Now, having already watched the animated series Brotherhood and the CGI movie King's Glaive to prepare for this game, I can honestly say that while Final Fantasy XV's main plot is good for the most part, it certainly has its fair share of high and low parts. However, without question, the strongest element of Final Fantasy XV's main plot is the chemistry between the four main protagonists. Having an entire main party already being established as a good group of friends brings a fresh dynamic that I've not seen in the franchise before. Each character has their own unique personalities and have many layers to their characters. How each member interacts with each other both during outside and during combat brings a majority of the more entertaining and heartfelt moments, and when the game's plot is focused solely on them being together, that is when the game's narrative is at its strongest. Sadly, I cannot say that for the rest of the supporting cast. Outside of a few small characters, no one really outside of the main four protagonists is given much development. Without spoiling too much, the character of Lunafreya is hardly in the game, and she honestly feels more of like a plot device. And there's one reoccurring character that just seems to pop up every 30 minutes and quickly became the most annoying character I've ever encountered in the franchise, to the point that when it was time for this character to finally go, I felt very little satisfaction. There are also some serious pacing issues, especially with the last third of the game. As I played through a majority of the game's plot, the build-up was presented very well, but then all of a sudden you're hit with a ton of exposition, and before you know it the game is over, leaving me feeling very disappointed by the end, but this may be because I've experienced much simpler and better overall plots throughout the franchise. Once again, the Final Fantasy gameplay style has been redesigned to fit a new generation of gaming, this time playing out as a fast-paced action open-world RPG where the player has total control of all of the actions of the main protagonist. Being open-world gives you the freedom to travel to just about any location at any time using a multitude of different traveling options. You can walk or run to your location, or choose to hop in your car and go on a road trip with your friends to your next location. You can have fun and ride the returning chocobos, or if you manage to find the right part, you can even take your traveling to the skies and see the land of Lucius from a much higher perspective. The battle system now runs on an action cross-battle system similar to that of the Kingdom Hearts franchise, in which as you roam around your environment you will encounter enemies that you can choose to engage. In battle, you have total control of all of Noctis' actions, which will require you to slash, warp strike, dodge, parry, and even heal if needed. Your party members for the most part will operate on their own, and if you find yourself in trouble, they will come to your aid. When their battle gauges rise high enough during the course of combat, you can request to initiate a combo attack with your party member, causing double the damage. One element of the combat system that I personally did not like at all is the use of magic and summonings in this installment. Instead of having access to a wide scale of magical attacks, you are limited to only 3 variations of magical spells, those being Fire, Ice, and Lightning. In order to use these spells in combat, you must first collect energy sources for each of these magical spells, and then craft them into grenades that they can be used in combat, and each spell has a limited supply of the amount of times that they can be used in any one battle. In terms of the summonings, there is no real concrete way to summon any of them in battle, and most of the time they will simply choose to show up or not show up whenever they want, and some of them are nothing more but glorified cameos. The upgrade system is pretty straightforward to operate. After claiming victory over a multitude of battles, you will collect experience points, and when you choose to rest at a hotel or campsite, all of the experience that you have collected will be applied to your characters. If you choose to rest at a campsite, you will also have the choice to pick a special meal for Ignis to cook, and each meal has a different set of perks that will last for a good portion going into the next day. You will also have the ability to collect ability points that can be used to better enhance a character's combative performance or even allow them to learn a new technique in combat. If you choose to venture away from the main plot, there are a ton of side quests, enemy hunts, and hidden dungeons to explore, and these will provide you with hours upon hours of gameplay challenges that will really push your skills. In my personal opinion, Final Fantasy XV in terms of its core gameplay provides the highest amount of freedom and total control that I've experienced in the franchise to date, and though it is undoubtedly flawed in a number of key areas, that doesn't stop it from being my new personal favorite gameplay style in the franchise. Like a majority of the installments in the main series of Final Fantasy games, Square-Enix once again provides another amazingly designed video game, proving once again why Final Fantasy has always been a AAA title franchise for many years now. The visuals are simply incredible, giving us one of the best looking games we've had on this generation to date, and there is simply no getting around that. There is so much attention to detail to both the character models and the environments themselves that they could almost seem lifelike at times. There are a vast amount of different environments that you may find yourself getting lost in simply exploring the different types of environments there is to see, from desolate deserts, to intensely heated volcano sides, to wonderful beautiful beaches, to even Venice-style cities that are just truly magical to explore. The voice acting and performances from all the characters are top notch. As far as I was concerned, I did not encounter a single bad performance from any character, even the minor characters that were given very little screen time and even less character development. And like every main installment in the Final Fantasy franchise, you can never go wrong with the soundtrack. Square-Enix once again provides another well-balanced and epic score that enhances every moment of the game from beginning to end. And what's even better is that you can actually purchase the soundtracks from previous installments and listen to them while you are traveling throughout the world of Final Fantasy XV. Now, I've waited 10 long years for this game to finally come out since it was first announced back in 2006 when I was a junior in high school. So the first question that one would ask is, was this game worth the 10-year wait? Not quite, but I really don't think any video game could realistically live up to those standards. However, I can say this. The problem that I have with this game is that it has the potential to really be the best Final Fantasy game I've ever played, but it's just flawed in a number of key areas. Now, the four main protagonists, or without question, my favorite party to play with. The chemistry is just unmatched in any Final Fantasy game I've ever played. The problem is that the story surrounding them just doesn't live up to it, and it actually kind of holds it down. I mean, it even had the nerve to take a number of story elements from previous games and thought that it could just rehash them and make it seem like no one would notice. But I certainly did. In terms of its gameplay, that too is my all-time favorite in the franchise too, but it just has some serious gameplay problems that I don't think we should have had this far into the franchise. I mean, this magic system is absolutely horrible. It's probably the worst magic system I've seen since the draw system in Final Fantasy VIII, and I think that is superior. Now, I'm not saying this game is a bad game, because it is a truly great game, and what it does do right is bring the franchise back on track. After having 10 years of really shitty Final Fantasy games, not counting the Final Fantasy X remasters because those are perfect, so I have to thank Square for at least getting the franchise back on track and putting it in a much better place than it's been in some time. So, if I had to compare it to Final Fantasies X and VII, does it beat those games? No. If I had to place Final Fantasy XV into place, it would probably rank number 3 on my list of top 5 favorite Final Fantasy games of all time. So, with that said, if I could give Final Fantasy XV a rating, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Definitely pick it up if you're a Final Fantasy fan. It's definitely one of the better games in the franchise. And if you are a first timer, I would suggest you at least play one of the previous installments, your choice, just to kind of get you ready for what you can expect going into this game. Now, if you like this game review, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to track me in my future game reviews. And like always, thank you guys for watching, you're awesome, and I'll see you next time.